show you a case study real quick that a farmer I work with in North Carolina. Ray Styer. In fact, Buzz is going out there to go see him on Friday. We're going to roll down the cover crops. 75 years, that's his soil. That's his soil right there. That's his farm, 155-acre farm. This is what he used to do. It's kind of dark. I'm going to have to put it more in white letters. He used to motor plow, haul manure. He used to have a dairy. That's what it was. And this was his beginning cover. He got into no-till. Number one reason why people go into no-till. I mean, the majority of the farmers go into no-till because it saves time.
Well, the first benefit, the main reason I went to no-till was because of time. I was getting more to do every year and there was less time to do it. And you get pushed up, so when you started to plant no-till, you could do away with all the tillage and everything and get it planted more timely. And eventually then you'd see the benefits. You'd save fuel, you'd save time and things like that, but you see the benefits in the soil.
What's the downside of this type of farming? You have to think harder. Your job is to mimic nature again. So look at this, what we did here. So why did he go? Time. It saved him time. He couldn't get around with the dairy and all the animals and blah, blah, and do all the tillage. Not enough time. Look at his old equipment. You don't have to have fancy equipment. Look how tall his ryegrass gets. And he rolls it down. It's beautiful. Look how he rolls that down. We're going to talk about that. He started doing experiments with all kinds of cover crop. That's vetch. Look how tall that vetch is. Most farmers that would see that, they would go, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with all that biomass? That's freaky, that scares me. Not Ray. Look at his cover crop. It's rye with crimson clover, with vetch, and radish all mixed together. And what does he do with it? Look how it looks when it's rolled over. I'm going to show you this. Look at his corn, and he grows sunflowers in strips. So he grows his, what his operation does now is he raises cattle, feeder cattle. So he pushes 120 cows every year through there. So he grows silage after silage year after year. But he grows it in strips. That's his main crop. But let me show you here. Look what he rolls it down with. An old cultipacker. You know what a cultipacker is? It's to break up the clods. He gets that radish, he gets that cover crop, and then it smashes it down like this and rolls it, and he lays it like this. He rolls it, and then it lays down like that. He sprays it after with Roundup. Then he no-tills silage corn right into it. So, but remember, he only uses the Roundup to make sure he gets 100% kill on the rye. He said if he could get a really good crimper roller, he wouldn't even have to spray Roundup. Now remember, he used to use 4 herbicides. Now he's down to 1 herbicide Roundup, half rate. Whoa, he's almost organic. Look at this. Beautiful cover crop rolled down. This was how much biomass he used in the beginning. 100% no-till. See how it looks when it's rolled down? It's beautiful. When I used to farm, I used to get soil all over me because I was tilling. Now I just get pollen. I said, man, this is the way to farm. It's so easy. I'm learning with him. This is what our job is within RCS, to work with our landowners, mentor, also learn from them. They teach me just as much as I teach them. See the mix? There he is. Ray says, well, he never smiles. He says, when he's talking about no-till, he's very serious, he says. But he's just a wonderful guy. He's a very, very humble man. Look at the corn pop out. So when it rains, Mateus, what happens? Do you see any bare soil? When you go across the country, Chris, what do you see in between the corn plants? Bare soil. All over 86 million acres. So if it rains, yeah. See the difference? But they say, well, we can't do this. It's too much work. Blah, blah, blah. It won't work. That's what we have to deal with. Old mindsets. He grows radishes. There's Dr. Rakowski. Ray, when I first started working with Ray, he didn't know how much manure he was using. So we did a tarp test. Because nobody was going to believe me when I said, Ray, you don't use chemical fertilizer at all? He goes, no, I don't use any.
We decided, with the help of a district conservationist who gave me a lot of help, John Timmons, that we should cut down on this fertilizer and see what it would do. We planted some test plots where we cut it down to half, a fourth, and some of them with none in it. The one that we didn't have any nitrogen on, we took a tissue sample and sent it off, and there was nothing lacking in it. So I decided if I didn't need it, why buy it? I haven't used any nitrogen on my corn since 1996.
He didn't realize that his soil was getting healthier and healthier, and it started cycling on its own. So he gets all these nutrients from his cover crops and 10 tons of manure. But he's only got enough manure, guys, for half the farm. So that half the farm doesn't even get manure, and yet his corn silage is beautiful. Oh, people are going to say, but how about economics? Raised with cover crops, 104 per acre. No-till without cover crops, and buying your own fertilizer and doing the other way, $212. He saves $108 an acre. That's pretty good. And his soil's getting healthier. He really believes in high-quality feed. This is his guy that mixes his feed for him. You know what he said? Ray, your feed is always consistent. Your numbers, look at your protein, desired range. The acid detergent, look at it, where it's at. Look at total digestible nutrients. The energy. It's consistent. He became a no-till farmer. Look at the cows. Because his soils are healthy, he doesn't have to buy extra ration. Remember I told you? Healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy people, healthy watershed. It's all connected. He saves that much every year because he doesn't have to feed extra supplements because his soils are so healthy. Okay, why? Time savings, reduce petroleum base, healthy soils help reduce impact of drought, increase the feed quality. My mission in my life is to make sure that everybody goes no-till by the next 20 years. Do you think I'll be able to reach that, James? Absolutely. Man, that's what I want to hear, man. Now you see why I get so pumped up about this. It's about our future, every one of us in here, guys. It's about all of us. It's because it's all about energy. It's about getting clean water. So if you address the sustainability part of it, it addresses the water quality part of it.
Well, it all works together, and what crops you grow and the way you manage them and things like that, try to keep your nutrients up and things like that, it's all got to work in the same circle. It's like spokes on a wheel. If one of them's weak, you're not going to go anywhere.
Isn't that amazing? So Ray said, what my soul thought of me before no-till. He said he was just a horse's butt for not doing it a long time ago. That's his family. Who plants a seed beneath the sod and waits to see, believes in God. That's what his term is. This is his PowerPoint. I did it for him.
That field out there has got 8 different varieties of stuff planted on it.
in the spring or early summer, we'll plant something.
Ray Styers' land
Like cowpeas and buckwheat and
is very much
sunflowers, stuff like that.
a part of his family.
Keep something growing all the time on it.
Yeah.
For nearly 60 years, he and his wife Sara have had a dairy farm on this land in Rockingham County.
Grew up on a farm, dairy farm, so I knew what it was all about.
And they've come to believe that if we don't feed this land, it won't continue to feed us.
Those top 4 inches are the most important 4 inches in all the soil beneath your feet. They grow the food that feeds us. And Ray, in turn, is growing topsoil.
After all those years of farming, Ray's soil is better today than it was when he started. So how many farms in this county do what Ray's doing?
Very few are doing it to the level and intensity Ray does it.
Fields that look like a mess to the untrained eye
It's all covered, stays that way just about all year.
is the look he's going for. It's called no-till farming. He uses some of the crops to feed his herd of dairy cows. The rest feeds his soil. He never clears and plows the land. He simply presses the crops down and plants between them.
And these are all radishes on both sides of the road here.
Meanwhile, the plants he'll never harvest
I've seen them big as my arm.
This is what we're talking about.
are hard at work.
This radish is going to get on out here to 3 or 4 feet. It's going to have a nice diameter on it.
And
Honestly,
becomes
this
the
is kinda going
nutrients
back
in the
to
next layer of
my
soil.
The old saying was you can't do anything wrong.
After a lifetime of improving this land, Ray and Sara see it as a legacy.
The older you get, the more you think about that.
I would hate to have put in all my lifetime getting this farm in the shape it is and then see somebody unload a bulldozer and tear it all up in a week's time.
Yeah.
Kevin Redding saw Guilford County go from 30 dairy farms 15 years ago to fewer than 10 today.
Several years ago, North Carolina led the nation in the loss of farmland on an annual basis because we're developing so rapidly, and the easiest place to develop is a farm because it's already cleared.
For most farmers, the land is their 401k. So the Piedmont Land Conservancy will pay a farmer to not sell his land to a developer to keep it open, even if it's no longer being farmed.
We've protected close to 24,000 acres in 25 years. Sounds like a whole lot. That's only 0.1% of the 9 counties that we serve. So we're not really jeopardizing growth by any means.
But they are saving some of our most valuable farmland because you are what you eat, and so is our food. Bob Buckley,
You want to leave this better than you found it.
Fox 8 News.